English Edge podcast.
From the English Clarity Lab.
Okay, so are we rolling? Yeah? Okay. Welcome back to the English Clarity Lab, everyone. I'm Mary, and well, today we are talking about a situation that makes almost all of our English learners sweat. Actually, it makes native speakers sweat too.
Oh, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm James, and today we are talking about what happens when someone calls you the wrong name and you don't correct them immediately.
Exactly. It is a terrifying trap. Someone says your name wrong, you don't want to be rude, so you smile and say nothing. But then they say it again and again, and suddenly it's been a month and you have a completely new identity.
Yes, this is a very real trauma for me, Mary, because I have a story to share today. A story about how I recently became a man named Jason for an entire Saturday morning.
I am so excited to analyze this. Listeners, James is going to tell us a highly stressful personal story about a communication failure. But before he tells us how he completely ruined this social interaction, I am going to put on my language detective hat. I want to pre-teach you the vocabulary you need to understand exactly where James went wrong. All right, James, looking at the notes for your story, we have 6 very important pieces of vocabulary for our listeners. Let's start with number 1. To let it slide.
Yes, my favorite mistake. To let it slide means you notice a mistake, but you choose to ignore it. You do nothing. You let the mistake slide past you. For example, if someone bumps into you on the bus and they don't say sorry, you might just let it slide because you don't want an argument.
Perfect. But when it comes to your name, letting it slide is dangerous, which brings us to phrase number 2, to bite the bullet. This is a great idiom. What does it mean?
To bite the bullet means to force yourself to do something uncomfortable. Imagine you have to make a scary phone call. You don't want to do it, but finally you just bite the bullet and dial the number.
Right, you're being brave. Next up, we have a great verb, to interject. This is a formal, polite way to say interrupt. When someone is speaking and you need to jump in quickly to fix a detail, you interject.
Exactly. Now, if you don't interject, you might end up with our 4th word, a recurring issue. Recurring means happening again and again. If someone mispronounces your name on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it is a recurring issue.
And to fix that recurring issue, you need our 5th phrase, to clear the air. This means to remove the awkwardness or tension. If you have a misunderstanding with a friend, you talk to them to clear the air so you can be comfortable again.
And finally, our magical phrase for today, the softest, most polite way to correct someone. Just 3 words. Actually, it's, if someone says, "Here is your coffee, John," you smile and say, "Actually, it's James."
It is so simple but so powerful. Okay, listeners, you have your vocabulary. Let's get into the trauma. James, set the scene for us. Where were you?
Okay, so I decided to take a weekend community pottery workshop. Making bowls out of clay. Very relaxing, right?
Sounds lovely.
It was. The instructor was this intensely passionate, fast-talking artist. Very loud, very enthusiastic. The room was totally crowded with other adult beginners. We were making our first clay bowls. I finish mine and the instructor walks over. He looks at my bowl, his eyes get wide, and he shouts to the whole room, "Everyone, stop what you are doing. Look at what Jason has created."
Oh no. Oh, that is the worst possible situation. So the whole room is looking at you, and you are receiving this massive, enthusiastic compliment, but it's for a guy named Jason. What did you do?
Well, what could I do, Mary? I panicked. I was so happy he liked my clay bowl, and I didn't want to ruin the magical artistic moment. So I just smiled and nodded. I completely let it slide.
Language detective Mary has to stop you right there. This is the classic trap. You felt that correcting him would sound ungrateful, right? You thought, he is saying something nice, so if I correct him, I will sound mean.
Exactly. It felt so aggressive to say, "No, you're wrong," while he was praising my art. But Mary, because I let it slide, it immediately became a recurring issue. For the next 2 hours, he kept coming over to my table. "Add some more water to that clay, Jason. Look at Jason's technique, everyone."
Oh, James, you were completely trapped in the Jason identity.
I was, and the longer I waited, the harder it became to bite the bullet and tell him. Finally, at the very end of the class, while everyone was packing up, I walked up to him. I was sweating, and I just blurted out, my name is James, not Jason.
Ouch. How did he react?
He looked horrified. He felt so embarrassed that he had been shouting the wrong name for 2 hours. He started apologizing intensely. It was so awkward. I tried to clear the air, but the damage was done. I honestly don't want to go back next Saturday.
Okay, listeners, let's deconstruct this failure. James, your biggest mistake was waiting. In English, if you wait to correct a small mistake, it turns into a big emotional event. The secret is to fix it in the first 3 seconds.
So how should I have handled it when he shouted to the room?
You needed to interject immediately, but keep the positive energy. We use a formula: gratitude plus actually it's plus redirection. So he says, look at what Jason created. You smile warmly, look at him and say, thank you so much. Actually, it's James, but I really appreciate that.
Wow, actually, it's James, but I really appreciate that. It sounds so light. It doesn't sound like a rejection at all.
Exactly. The word actually is magic here. It acts as a soft cushion. You aren't saying no or you are wrong. You're just providing a tiny update to the information. And by saying, I appreciate that right after, you keep the focus on his nice compliment.
But what if I missed that window? What if I panicked like I did and 2 hours have passed? How do I clear the air at the end of the class without making him feel terrible?
Great question. If you wait until the end, you have to take the blame for the delay. You walk up to him privately, smile, and say, hey, I didn't want to interrupt your flow earlier, but my name is actually James. Thank you so much for all the help today.
I didn't want to interrupt your flow earlier. That is brilliant. It makes it sound like I was being polite by waiting rather than just being a coward.
Exactly. It saves face for both of you. You clear the air, he learns your name, and you can go back next Saturday without stress. All right, lab members, it is time to practice. I am going to give you our 3 savior phrases from today's dilemma. I will say the phrase, and I want you to repeat it out loud wherever you are. Let's practice that soft, friendly intonation. Phrase 1 for an immediate correction. Ready? Thank you so much. Actually, it's James. Excellent. Make sure to smile when you say actually. Let's try phrase 2 for when you need to clear the air later. I didn't want to interrupt earlier, but my name is actually beautiful. And finally, if someone mispronounces it slightly, keep it super casual. Oh, it's actually pronounced James. Fantastic job, everyone. No more letting it slide. Next time someone gets your name wrong, you know exactly how to bite the bullet.
That's right. Don't forget to download the free PDF transcript and vocabulary sheet for this episode using the link in the description. We will see you next week in the English Clarity Lab.